Here we go. Okay. So unless we get really bogged down, this should be the last class as we complete Derech Hashem.
On Rosh Chodesh Elul.
On Rosh Chodesh Elul. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. All right. So in this last chapter, we have been discussing how everything has a purpose. As we already explained in earlier chapters, and it ends in earlier sections, everything that exists. Am I in the camera here? Everything that happens and everything that exists is with direction, it's with purpose. It's been placed there with precision for a reason. And that reason is part of a much bigger picture to get the world to reach its ultimate perfection. So every single thing that goes on is part of that. It's part of that process, and because of that, like he said with everything, because of that, there is a mitzvah that corresponds to all the things that go on. So, like we said, at the time, the cycle of the calendar is because there are all these components within creation that come into play at different times within the calendar. So therefore, there are mitzvahs that correspond to those things. So too, when it comes to the different things that happen in life, there are also mitzvahs that correspond to each of those things, and that is the goal of having all the different mitzvahs. So he kind of talked about that in general with the first letter of what we discussed, Aleph, and the need for these mitzvahs to be done the way they are described is crucial, because if you're not doing it the way it's supposed to be done, then you might not be accomplishing anything. In all likelihood, you're not accomplishing anything because Hashem designed the mitzvahs to act in specific ways to accomplish specific things. And He knows the way it needs to be done. So if a person is going to decide on their own, well, I'm going to do it differently, then they're not accomplishing anything. You know, that would be the equivalent of eating matzah on Rosh Hashanah. Right? It's just nothing, right? It doesn't accomplish anything at all. Right? It'd be the equivalent of trying to give charity to somebody who's rich. It's not accomplishing anything. You're not doing the mitzvah. That's not what the mitzvah is. So we have to understand that Hashem gave parameters to each and every one of the mitzvahs, and they're because He understands why He gave the mitzvahs. And because of that context that they're given in, that's why they have the rules and parameters that they have. So it's crucial that we keep all of that in mind and make sure that the mitzvahs are done the way they're supposed to be done, the way they are described in halach. Now, before we move on, I just want to add a little tidbit to this. A couple of years back, there was St. Leo's University. Anybody? I don't know if anybody remembers St. Leo's. Okay.
Thank you.
So St. Leo's was a little place that has moved since. They're not even there anymore. But they had a world religions class, and the professor there used to come every year to the BBJ to give the kids a Judaism 101, as part of their world religions tour. So before I was here, Rabbi Singer used to do it, Adam Singer, and then I took over. And one point that I would always make with these groups that would always elicit a response was that Judaism is, as far as I know, the only religion that has directive for every single moment and circumstance in life. There is no moment in life that the Torah doesn't tell us what to do, what not to do, how to do it, how not to do it, the better way, the best way, right? Everything has a way to do it. There's a way to eat, there's a way to sleep, there's a way to walk, everything. There's a way to think, there's a way to feel, right? Everything, every single circumstance has Torah direction as to how to do it. And the reason for that is exactly what Ramchal is describing over here. It's because every single circumstance has a purpose for being here. There's a reason I'm in this particular situation. There's a reason I have this choice to make. There's a reason I saw something. There's a reason I heard something. There's a reason I encountered someone. All these things have direction. They're there with precision. And therefore there has to be a directive from the Torah for how to do it, because that's why it's happening. Because if the Torah didn't tell us how to do something, then there'd be no reason for it to happen. So that's just kind of he's limiting it to specific mitzvahs, but it's not. It's really everything that we do can potentially be a mitzvah. And therefore we need to keep that in mind. With every single circumstance, every decision that we make, the Torah has a way to do it and a way not to do it, and we should understand that that is all part of this big picture of getting the world to reach its perfection. Yes?
So you used a metaphor last class about mitzvahs and Torah. And I was just trying to, when I was reviewing in my mind what we were doing, I was just trying to remember, and I think it had to do with, you said, it was like, and I'm just trying to remember what it was.
I don't remember.
Okay.
But last week's class should be posted today to the YouTube channel so you can listen to it.
Okay, good. So I'll review it.
Yeah. Now that I have new Wi-Fi at home, it doesn't take an hour and 45 minutes to upload the class.
Okay.
So that's what it used to be. Yeah, when I had Comcast, my upload speed was typically 3 megabytes per second.
Well, did you get the cheap plan?
Yeah.
It didn't matter. The cheap plan only helped for the download speed. It didn't help the upload speed. So the
The
download,
new one?
so the new one now has equal download and upload speeds. So now the class uploads in about 12 minutes.
Wow.
Yes, much easier. What?
So I could have uploaded it in 5 seconds for you.
Thank you. Thanks for offering now that we're on our last class of the season.
5 classes in.
Yeah,
So you went with the new
Maybe with the
I got
new-
Live Oak. Yeah,
it's underground.
yeah, I got Live
Like
Oak.
the
Yeah.
fiber optics.
Yes, the fiber optics. That's the one. It has made a significant difference in my upload speed. So it's equal to the download speed. So I'm getting like 350. You know, much better. Alrighty, here we go. So Bays. Yes, Bays. We all on the same page here? Bays? No? Bays? 354. All right, here we go. Bays. Lynn, that's 669. Okay. Vihine. Vihine. You know, you'd think 150 some classes later, but no. Still have to repeat myself. I'll be Derech.
Welcome to the world of teaching.
I'll be Derech. I'm not teaching children. I'll be Derech Hashem. All right. Enough of the comments. All right. Okay. Al pi derech zeh husad inyan habrachas. So based on this concept that the things that we do are all part of this bigger plan of directing the world in its final direction of getting to perfection, our things, everything that we do, everything that we encounter is all part of that plan and that process. So because of that, our sages decreed the concept of brachos. I'll call on everything that goes on in the world and all the pleasures, all the things that we benefit from this world. And the shayresh l'kulam, the source of all of these, is birchas hamazon, is benching. Shenitztavinu by b'Torah. The Torah itself only gave us one bracha, according to some two, but at least simply understood, there's one bracha in the Torah. Well, there's birchas kahanim also, but that's really a whole separate thing. As far as the brachas that we make, benching is the one that's mentioned in the Torah. Ve'achalta v'savata, you eat and be satisfied. Uve'rachta Hashem alekecha, and you should bless. You should say thank you. You should appreciate and recognize that Hashem is the source of that. So when the Torah gave us this mitzvah of benching, Chazal saw within that it is imperative that we say a recognition sentence, a comment, a phrase that will help us recognize that Hashem is behind whatever we're about to do. We take a drink, we smell something good, we see something nice, we stand on our feet. Anything we do, we should recognize Hashem. And Chazal saw this in the concept of benching, in which Hashem told us, after you eat and you're satisfied, thank Hashem for that. And Chazal took that further. So, Ramchal explains, the inyan zehu, this idea is, kihine kvar be'arnu, because we've already explained, shekol ha'aniyanim hanimtsaim v'chakukim b'teva, everything that is found and that is decreed within nature, every single detail is part of this process of getting to that ultimate goal. Which is that all of existence should reach perfection. And the part that each of these things is going to take in doing this is based on the level that they are in their true existence, referring to their source up in the higher realms in the kaichas. So meaning to say, everything it plays a part. Some things play bigger parts, some things play smaller parts. But everything plays a part in this process of bringing the world to perfection. And he says that the degree to which something plays a part in this process of perfecting the world is based on the value of the source that it comes from. So every single thing that happens, as we've learned for so many months, has a source in the higher realms, and those sources have different levels. So the higher level something is, the more impactful it's going to be down here. So sometimes we may have something that seems small, and really it's very big. And sometimes vice versa. Something that seems very big, but really it's no big deal. And we don't recognize, we don't know, we're not privileged to the information to know which things have massive impacts on the direction of the world and which things have smaller impacts. So I'm adding my own 2 cents over here. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos tells us that you should treat mitzvahs equally for this reason. Because you don't understand the value of a mitzvah, meaning to say, the world's heading in a direction. And you don't realize what this opportunity that you have to do a mitzvah, you don't realize the part that plays in the bigger picture of the entire universe heading in this direction. And you shouldn't treat...
Last week's parsha.
Yeah. And you shouldn't treat something small as if it's insignificant, because you have no idea. For all you know, this tiny little thing could have massive implications. And sometimes we can see that when, something crazy happens and we're like, oh wow, this happened because of that and this the other thing, right? And we see, someone saved because they went to davening and they weren't in a certain place at a certain time. Or, we see sometimes these things. And sometimes we see somebody doing something and someone else gets very inspired by it, or they themselves get very inspired and they make a life change. And these are things that we can see from time to time. But we don't always. Sometimes Hashem decides to show us that information. Sometimes he doesn't. So we should never treat a mitzvah lightly and think that it doesn't have a massive impact, because it may. It may have a tremendous impact. Just a very quick story. There's no shortage of them, but a very quick story. There's a shul in Dallas, Rabbi Rodin shul, and somebody once came to Rabbi Rodin and gave him a massive check, millions. And he had never even seen him before. He didn't know who he was, didn't know anything. And he asked him, so what's this all about? He said, well, someone convinced me, I'm Jewish, someone convinced me to go to Israel, and I went to Israel, and I was standing at the Western Wall, and I saw someone there praying with such sincerity that I realized this is the true path. Just from seeing that person, the way they were praying, I knew that this was accurate, so I came back home to Dallas, and I found the nearest Orthodox Jewish organization, and that was you, and here's this money, I want you to use it to perpetuate what you guys are doing. Fascinating. Now here's the kicker. The guy who was davening doesn't know anything about this. Right? And he's going to get up there after 120, and he's going to have a boatload of merits of everything that the shul and school and everything is doing for years and years to come with his money that he didn't give, but he was the cause of somebody else to give that money. Now let's say he would have decided to sleep in that day and daven a little later. Right? So we never realize the value of the things that we do. We should never treat something lightly. Always, always treat every mitzvah opportunity as a massive undertaking, because this could, for all you know, change the course of the world. You never know. So that's what he's talking about over here. Okay, continuing on. Ve'ulam. Ha'adam hanimshach achar chukas tiva yopoil apulais k'dimashu chukakloi. A person who's following his natural tendencies, and he's doing the things that are designed for him, meaning a person's following his path in life. Yesh lo his kaven tamid la'avodas b'arei. He should constantly, always be thinking, I'm doing this as service to Hashem. And for what comes from the things that this person does, the product of his actions, it should help to reach this goal. However it's going to be. The way things are designed to be. Meaning to say, because the things that a person's going to do are already going to be taking the world in its proper course to perfection. So these things are happening regardless. It's going to go. And some things are going to lead to other things. Until eventually, after many cycles and turns and twists and all different things that are going to happen, And Yanim Rabim Nushachim Zachar Zeh, many different things going one after the other, one result of another. Yagiu Elav, eventually it can reach that point. V'ulam, however, you had Dvarim Be'edzim Adoyashiyu, whatever level these things might be, big or small, they should be done with this intention alone. So that it can come from them even if it's 10 steps down the road. It should be helpful to reach the goal, and not for any other motive. Dahainu, meaning kavanas hatayvos, with like such as an intention of your own pleasure, banatia, chamris, and your drive to physical things, elamasorais, or the drive that naturally comes to physical things for extras, things that are excess. The shamru kulam begavulim, shechakalam atayra halakis, and they should all be, they should all have boundaries, the way Hashem gave them in the Torah. Vazyu kulam be'emes aizal davar zeh, and then they will truthfully and truly be helping the world reach its purpose. Ve'chashu kulam t'nai avodah, and they will all be considered part of the service. So what he's saying here is that everything that we do, regardless of what it is, as long as it's permitted and it's within the confines of what the Torah permits, every single thing that we do, we should be intending to do this as service to Hashem. Because every single thing that we do is going to help the world reach its potential. It's going to get the world going in the right direction. And if we have that in mind and we're thinking, this is my motive, the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm drinking a coffee, the reason I'm standing, the reason I'm sitting, the reason I'm talking, whatever it is, if I'm thinking that I'm doing all this for the purpose of, that I know Hashem is using me to help the world go in the direction it needs to go, then I've just transformed everything in my day into a mitzvah. Because the whole point of everything is to serve Hashem. And Hashem's point in everything is to get the world to perfection. So as long as that's what I'm cognizant of, and that's what's going through my mind before I do something or when I'm doing something, then that's a mitzvah. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Again, as long as it's, like he says, within the confines of what the Torah says is allowed, then everything I do can be intended to be part of that process. Now, is it always going to be a direct result of what I do? Not necessarily. But, for example, a person wakes up in the morning and they get out of bed. Now, what are they getting out of bed for? Well, maybe one thing that they do in their day will have an impact on one other person, and then that other person will do something in 2 years from now because of that impact, and that will get somebody else excited about something, and in 30 years from now, something major is going to happen. But all that happened because of my getting out of bed. And that whole spiral started, that whole process began because of that first step. So I don't need to see the result of what I do, but I need to believe and understand that every single thing that I do is a step in that process. Even if I don't see the result of it, everything is. So therefore, no matter what I'm doing in life, I should always be thinking, this is being done for the service of Hashem.
And the truth is that spiral really started a long time before that.
Before you do, of course. But I need to start with me. What the goal over here is that I should go through life with this outlook of, I'm doing this to serve Hashem. And that should be with whatever I'm doing. And that has a fringe benefit of keeping us from doing things wrong. Because it's hard to do something wrong and think to yourself, I'm doing this for Hashem. It can happen, but it's rare, right? It'll certainly knock out the vast majority of things that we do wrong if we think, I'm doing this to serve Hashem. But also, it's this idea that we see from the concept of the bracha, as I mentioned in the beginning, that we should always be recognizing Hashem, and even in the mundane things that we do. So eating, right? One of the most animalistic things a human being can do, eating food. The Torah says, make a bracha. Elevate it. Make a bracha. Turn it into part of your service of Hashem. By recognizing Hashem when you do it, you're elevating it, and that is the goal that we're describing over here. A famous story we'll throw in over here is the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov, very famous, the founder of Chassidus. He asked once in heaven, he said, who is going to be my partner in the world to come? Apparently everybody's got a partner. So he was told it's so-and-so from this and this town. I'd never heard of him, so he decided he's going to go see him. See who his partner is going to be. So he goes and he asks for so-and-so, and they say, oh, he's the butcher. And there's his butcher shop over there. So he went to the butcher shop, and he sits in the back, and he looks, and he watches the butcher. He seems to be a very normal guy. You know, doing his job, seems nice, normal, nothing unique. So he approaches him, and he says, tell me, you know, who are you? And he tells him his name. Where are you from? I grew up here. He says, is there anything special about you that you could think of that you really, you know, focus on and take a lot of pride in? And he said, yeah. He said, I spend my day cutting meat, butchering, chopping, and eating. He's a very big guy. And he said, the reason I do this is because when I was young, my father was approached by missionaries, and they forced him to convert. And he was a scrawny little guy. And I dedicated my life to making sure they can never do that to me. And every single day, the reason I'm doing my work and I'm eating and I'm doing everything is so that I should never fall prey to what my father felt. So here you have a very simple Jew doing a very simple, almost animalistic kind of thing. And he is going to be the partner of the saintly Baal Shem Tov. Because everything that he did, the most mundane thing, but everything that he did was with this intention. I'm doing this to serve Hashem. So it doesn't matter really what you're doing, as long as it's allowed. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be anything, as long as you're doing it for the right reason, you're doing it to serve Hashem, it's a mitzvah. So that is the idea that Ramchal is sharing with us over here. Okay, let's continue. V'hinei. Limdasnu ha'torah sha'achar she'ne'neinu b'ma'achalenu v'sh'yasenu noidu l'fanei yizbarach l'baruch shemai. The Torah taught us that after we finish eating and drinking, we should thank Hashem. V'nachzir ha'davar el tachlis ha'mitzvah shaloi, and that will bring it to its purpose, meaning the goal of the eating and drinking will be realized. It will be recognized by the fact that we're saying a bracha, we're benching after doing so. Which is what helps the world reach its perfection, as we've been describing, as part of that process. To the point that through all the different things, Hashem's glory is increased. If nothing less than that His will is being fulfilled, and the goal that He wants, that He has set, we're working towards that goal, and accomplishments are being made in that direction. And this is the concept of benching. And so too, every bracha that we make after we benefit from something, it's all the same idea. That we're taking that which we've done and we're recognizing it's from Hashem, we're recognizing it's part of Hashem's process, and in doing so, we are doing our part to help the world reach its perfection. However, our sages added to this biblical mitzvah that they decreed to have brachas in addition to after, but also before. In order to emphasize this concept, and this is that even before a person benefits from this world, the iskaven ba'amitis, I'm sorry, skipped a line. Yazkir Shemoy Yizbarach Olav V'Racheyu. A person should mention Hashem's name before he takes pleasure or benefit from something in this world, and thank Hashem for it. And the term bracha means source, that we're recognizing that Hashem is the source of whatever it is we're about to partake in. The iskaven,
Like a brecha.
Like a brecha, a spring, right? The source. The iskaven shemimenu yizbarach balei hatevahu, and we should have in mind that this goodness that I'm about to have, whether it's a food, a drink, a smell, something nice that I see, whatever it is, I should have in mind that this is from Hashem. The iskaven ba'amitas hatevahu, and I should think about the true goodness of what I'm doing. She'ena inyan gufani. It's not just a physical thing, a bodily thing. V'anas chamiyas elvad, it's simply a sensual pleasure. Ela she'ba'emes inyan mucha mimenu yizbarach. Rather, this is something that is sent directly from Hashem. In order to be the next step in the process of the ultimate goodness of this world. So we shouldn't just look at this plate of food and say, thank you Hashem for the fact that I have food. But understand, this is sent by Hashem for me, for part of the process of bringing the world to perfection. It's a tremendous level to have. And if I have this proper introduction of having this mindset that the bracha should put me in before I take pleasure from this world, then the result of what I do will be only good and nothing bad. And then the person themselves will be elevated through this action, and it will not be any worse, nothing will get ruined, as we have described. So, there are lots and lots of brachos for everything that we do. In the morning, we say brachos that cover the majority of just our regular existence, the fact that we can see, the fact that we can stand, the fact that we have clothing. These are all parts of our daily existence. But then, as we go through our day, we have multiple opportunities to say brachos. Every time we eat, every time we drink, davening, all these things are opportunities to say brachos. And we shouldn't, however, limit it to the things that we have formal brachos for. We should always be looking to thank Hashem, to recognize Hashem as being the source, to seeing that everything that happens is part of this greater plan of bringing the world to its perfection. All of these things happen throughout our day, no matter what's going on. We walk into Kroger and there's chicken on the shelf. And we should have a bracha for that. We should have a bracha for that. Maybe shachiyanu.
Do you say a bracha when you get into your car?
We should. You don't actually say an actual bracha, but we should always be thinking that everything I have, I'm recognizing it's from Hashem. And that you ask it, I will say, right? But I will say, still now, every time I get, I shouldn't say every time. It's no longer every time, but often, when I get into my car, I say thank you Hashem for my air conditioning. My old car did not have air conditioning for the last 2 years that we had it. And it's a tremendous blessing that we have air conditioning. And of course it's going to eventually fade, and I'm not going to be thinking about it as often as I do. It's already doing that, and I've had it for a year, but still, that is something to recognize. And sometimes it's when we lose things that, we then start recognizing, and we have to try to be ahead of the curve over there and not wait for that to happen. But yeah, we should absolutely be thankful when you get up in the morning and you can stand on your feet. Say thank you. When you open your drawer and there's clothing to wear, you should say thank you. And if someone made that possible by washing and folding and whatever else, you should be thankful, right? These are all things to be thankful for.
I do it for myself.
Good for you.
I don't have anyone to do it for me.
That's you should do it for yourself even if you have someone to do it for you.
I thank myself every day.
Good. Well, the goal is thanking Hashem for the people in our lives, thanking Hashem for the situations, every single thing. So it's not limited to the formal brachos that we have. It's recognizing Hashem in everything that goes on throughout our day, throughout our lives, and that is the life that we're describing. And as we learned earlier, and he's repeating over here, when we do that, we are ensuring that only good comes from what we do. No bad will come from what we do if we have this mindset. He's already said this, and he's repeating it here, but that's crucial. It really is crucial. So we're physical, as he said. Our natural tendencies are to serve ourselves, to ingratiate ourselves, to fulfill our own desires, but we should try to rise above that. We should try to work on having a mindset that every single thing that we do is for Hashem. It's part of the greater process of bringing the world to perfection. Yes?
So my husband actually does this. He says a lot of times, he has a line he came up with, "Bawal autobusin when a bus comes on time," or comes at all. Like, it's a way for us to remember even when the bus runs late, or whatever it is. That's his line. That's something we've been doing quite a bit.
That's right, for sure. Yeah, so Geula is adding to this, that not only is this with the good things and the simple things that we do, but even when negative things happen, things that don't seem to be going our way, these end up being very positives usually, and we should recognize that always. It's for our planet, it's for our best interest, and we shouldn't just be thankful for the things that we perceive as good, but everything, even the things that we don't perceive as good, we should also be very thankful for and recognize that those are also part of this bigger picture and the bigger plan. All right, and finally, Geula.
I am.
No, there's no l'chaim zon v'ulam. You're all fired. Oh, all right, forget it. We gotta start over.
I thought you were saying for the last paragraph.
Gam.
The last paragraph.
It is. It is. But I didn't say anything that deserved a l'chaim.
Time for your last paragraph.
If we had whiskey, yes. Gam.
Hold on.
Gam. The cops are still here. Gam b'maisa ha-mitzvahs tiknu lanu chazal. Brachas in. Warm? Nothing. Even when it comes to the mitzvahs that we do, our sages also implemented that we should say brachas for them. L'chibuva shel mitzvah, to endear the mitzvahs to us. We should recognize to thank Hashem that Hashem chose us and He gave us these tremendous opportunities to fix the world, to fix ourselves, to accomplish the greatest accomplishments through the mitzvahs themselves. And through this, the mitzvah that we do is uplifted even more than it would be without the bracha. And a person has or will be assisted by Hashem because this is the way it works. This is the measure for measure. The way people associate and connect and are inspired in their relationship with Hashem, so too will be the measure with which Hashem relates to us and is involved in our lives and helping us. Whether it's a little or a lot, with everything that we do, no matter what it is. And the one who is trusting in Hashem, he is to be praised. So meaning that the Ramchal is summing it all up and saying that but it's all said and done, the bottom line of all of this is you got to trust in Hashem. If you're not trusting in Hashem, this entire book is worthless. This is all based on our living with Hashem, and we should recognize that as we do that, He lives with us, and Mazel Tov, Tam Nishlam, Shavach, Lakel, Bayre'ah. All right, Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov. Thank you.
Alrighty, see him forthcoming, Derech Hashem. Please stay tuned for details. And as soon as Rabbi Goldman gets a hold of the rabbi whose last name starts with an N, we'll see if we can schedule something. And shkoyach everybody for sticking through it.
Thank you.
However long you did. And Dr. Krenko, you missed it because you went to the late chakras because you slept in. And but that's good because sleep is the best thing, right? Yeah, I have to get one in at the last class. Yeah, okay. Okay. Alrighty, very good. Mazel tov, everybody.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Have a good one.
Really quick, can we make it?